What's going on, guys? Nick here at the TCGBuds, bringing you the Buds' first ever PSA return video. That is right. After a long 5 weeks, the slabs have finally come back, and now we're ready to reveal what we have. But first, giveaways are coming to the Buds. That is right, we will be giving away this Pokemon Japanese 151 Bulbasaur PSA 10 to one lucky subscriber when we hit 250. To enter, like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you at 250. For now, back to the video. All right, guys, without any further ado, we're going to get started going through our PSA submission. Now, full disclaimer, I may have already peeked at the grades on the grader's notes. I know. I broke a rule that you're not supposed to break when it comes to PSA returns. However, all I'm going to say is when you have waited over 5 weeks to get back cards that retain a lot of value, and you know, it's very stressful to have that in your inbox and not peek at all. So feel free to boo me all you want in the comments, but regardless, we're going to get right into this. With our very first slab, we have the Blastoise EX from Pokemon 151 PSA 10. Starting the Buds off right with PSA 10. Love to see that. Just a heads up, I'm going to throw all my PSA 10 slabs here. Anything that isn't a PSA 10 is going to fall on the left-hand side over here. And now you guys are probably wondering, what are these cards that are pre-placed on the left-hand side? Those are going to be some special ones that I'm saving for the very end, since I already know the grades on all this stuff. And save it to the very end to go through last, since that is some of our biggest heat is in this corner over here. Anyways, let's continue. Next up, we have the Starmie V, the Trainer Gallery with Misty from Astral Radiance. PSA 10 on that card. Absolutely beautiful card. I'm a huge fan of Misty, of course, from the anime, and getting that in PSA 10, I think the Trainer Gallery cards in general are really, really nice, so that's a huge pickup for us. Oh, next up we have the Infernape from Twilight Masquerade, a card that AJ actually ripped and opened himself. Let's see what we get. PSA 9 on the Infernape. It's tough. Again, that's the game you play when it comes to getting PSA submissions in, so it is what it is. It happens. PSA 9, oh well, but regardless, you can't always control it. Next up, I see a Japanese card in the background. We have the Mew from V-Star Universe. PSA 10. Now, for most people who are collecting Japanese cards or just Pokemon cards in general, the consensus has always been that Japanese manufacturing is substantially better than that of English cards. Looking like it's turning out to be true here today with that Mew V-Star. See if the streak can continue. We have another Starmie V from Astral Radiance. Let's see if we can get a 10 on this one. It's going to come back as a 9. You know, it happens. When I was doing the submission, I thought this card was a coin flip in terms of it could have been a 9 or a 10. Ended up coming back as a 9 this time. Again, is what it is. It happens. Moving forward, we have the Wartortle Master Ball from Japanese Pokemon 151. PSA 10 on the Wartortle. Beautiful card. I love the Master Balls sets in general. Unpause. But for those of you who are looking forward to Prismatic Evolutions, we are indeed confirmed getting Master Ball cards in that set, in an English set. So stay tuned. I'd love to be able to see what those Master Balls come out to be. Next up, we have the Galvantula EX from Stellar Crown. You guys are probably wondering why we got this graded. Excellent question. The answer to that one is that, you know, at the time, AJ and I were scanning through all the cards that we wanted to submit. This card was showing to be of a certain value, and it ended up going down over time, which happens with Pokemon sets. You know, it is what it is. Let's see what we get on it. We have a PSA 10 on the Galvantula. Again, not the biggest hitter from Stellar Crown by any means, but can't complain about a PSA 10. All right. Following that up, we have the Greninja promo from Shrouded Fable. Interesting story on this one. I actually picked up this card locally from somebody who had it graded by tag And if you don't know how Tag does their grading or who they are, they utilize artificial intelligence to scan the cards. And this came back as a 10 from Tag. So let's see if the AI is correct. That is right. PSA 10 on the Greninja promo from Shrouded Fable. Me, personally, I think the future is that of having some sort of a technology which can automatically scan the cards, remove any sort of debate, but that's to be seen. Alrighty, following that up, we have the Charizard promo card here. Can't remember what set this is from now. I'm thinking about it. Let's see what we get on it. PSA 10. It is the Paldean Fates promo card. Beautiful card. I actually picked this up when I went to go visit some friends of mine in San Diego. I picked up a lot over there of cards, and this is one of the 3 I got over there. Happy to see the PSA 10, but there's more coming from that pickup, so stay tuned. All right. Following that up, we have the Pheasantipity from Shrouded Fable. PSA 10. Love the art on that card. I actually pulled that one myself from a GameStop ETB. So, again, a good pickup for the buds there. Oh, and that brings us to this beauty of a card. I love this Squirtle card. It might be one of my favorites of all time. We have the Squirtle from Stellar Crown. PSA 9. Again, it is what it is. It happens. That's a tough one for us to hold. I would have loved to see that card come back into PSA 10, but nothing you can do. Next up, we have the Cinderace EX from Stellar Crown. I think Stellar Crown in general is a set that's going to be going up more over time, so I'm happy we got these cards graded. Cinderace is a Pokemon that I think is pretty great, pretty interesting. So we have a PSA 10 on the Cinderace. Awesome. Stellar Crown has blessed AJ and I a lot, and it continues to do so. Moving on, we have the Squirtle, another one from Stellar Crown. Can we get the 10 on this one? PSA 9 again on the Squirtle. Absolute heartbreaker. I would have loved to get that card into 10 for our pickups. We hit a little bit of a spoiler into our next PSA video. We've hit a lot of really nice cards in Stellar Crown, and not getting that 10 back is a little bit of a heartbreaker, but again, it happens. Next up, we have the Dawn and Pikachu Trainer Gallery. Absolutely love these Trainer Gallery cards. PSA 9 on this card. Is what it is. Our 9 pile is growing. We're going to need a 10 to flip it around. What can we get? And now we're moving on to a nice one here. We have the Cassiopeia from Shrouded Fable coming back as a PSA 10. That is the card in Shrouded Fable. It is a monster hit. I actually pulled that one also from a GameStop ETB, so thank you to my local GameStop for that one. Happy to get that one back into 10. That is being followed up by the Poliwhirl from Pokemon 151. PSA 10 on the Poliwhirl. Woo! The streak is back for the buds. I was a little concerned, but looks like we're back in business here. And now more Stellar Crown. We have the Lacey from Stellar Crown. PSA 10. Huge card. This is a card that AJ actually pulled himself, and we ended up getting it graded. Happy came back as a 10. Awesome. Stellar Crown is a set that like I just mentioned, I'm really bullish on it. It's going through the usual Pokemon trajectory right now of going up, and now it's in its down phase. So if you have any Stellar Crown, maybe hold on to that one. Non-investment advice, but maybe hold on to that one. Oh, and that's being followed up by a monster here. Blastoise EX from Pokemon 151. What can the buds get on this one? It's a PSA 10 on the Blastoise. A monster card. Absolute beauty. This is a card, again, that AJ actually pulled, and it's a card I know it means a lot to both of us. This is a card that was pulled during our weekly Discord rip sessions where we're just live streaming ourselves ripping some packs. This one ended up falling into AJ's lap when he opened it, and we decided to send a PSA, give it a shot. Came back as a PSA 10. That is a huge one for the buds. Let's see what can follow up the Blastoise. Another Terrapagos. Got Terrapagos EX from Stellar Crown. Again, one of those cards that looked like it was worth getting it submitted a couple months ago, 5 weeks ago when we did it. May have gone down a little bit in price. It is what it is. PSA 10 on the Terrapagos. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Following that up, Oh, we have this beaut. The Charmander promo from Obsidian Flames. Fun fact, I have purchased 4 ETBs from Obsidian Flames. I've not had one gradable Charmander. This one came from an ETB that AJ picked up locally. A PSA 10 on the Obsidian Flames Charmander promo. Gosh, it makes me wish we had that Squirtle in the 10, but oh well, it happens. The Obsidian Flames Charmander, I'll gladly take that one. That's a big pickup, really is. Following that up, I see a Japanese card. That is right, we have the Charmander from Pokemon 151, Japanese version. PSA 10 on the Charmander. Great card. Actually came from my personal collection of hits that I had. Happy to see that one come back as a 10. Great, again, Japanese manufacturing, showing why it's just truly untouched. Following that up, we have the Alakazam from Pokemon 151. Also coming in as a PSA 10. Again, Japanese manufacturing continuing to show it is undefeated when compared to other forms of Pokemon. Next up, we have the Erica's Invitation from Pokemon 151. Another card I pulled. PSA 10 on the Erica's Invitation. The streak is here and it is heating up for the buds. Let's go. This again, currently is our pile of 10s. Over here we have a pile of 9s. Looks like the 10s are doing a pretty good job so far. Following that up, we have the Pikachu from Pokemon 151, Japanese. PSA 10 on the Pikachu as well. Again, another card that I picked up myself. And here we go. On banger here, we have the Eevee from Twilight Masquerade, a card AJ ripped. PSA 9 on the Eevee. Would have loved to see this card come in at 10. That card from most of the cards from Twilight Masquerade are just blowing up in price right now from the Greninja. Booster boxes going up. That card in a PSA 10 would be nice, but again, it happens. Oh well. And following that up, we have the Charizard VMAX from Shining Fates. So a little story about this one. I actually picked it up locally from a buddy of mine, Brian. Brian told me when I purchased this card off him, he said he guaranteed it was a PSA 10. Guaranteed. Let's find out if Brian was correct. Yes, that is right. Brian was correct. PSA 10 on the Charizard from Shining Fates. A beautiful card, one that's just continuing to go up over the last couple months in price, and that is again a very big pickup for us. Following that up, we have the Cycling Road Master Ball version, Japanese Pokemon 151, PSA 10. Another card that I picked up, or that I ripped myself. Following that, we have the Blaziken V Trainer Gallery card. I just love the Trainer Gallery cards. Some of my favorites. We got a PSA 9 on that one. I knew going into it, that one was going to be a coin flip. Fortunately, lost it in this one. Following that up, we have the Keldeo. Great art on the Keldeo. Not a big Keldeo fan myself. However, if a card makes sense to get graded and you think it's a 10, why not give it a shot? PSA 10 on the Keldeo from Crown Zenith. We have a little bit of a stack left here. Moving forward, we have the Glaceon V-Star from Crown Zenith. It's a Crown Zenith party right now. This was the second card I picked up in that lot from San Diego when I went to go visit some friends of mine. Let's see what we get on this one. PSA 10 on the Glaceon. So far from that lot purchase in San Diego, I'm 2 for 2 on a PSA 10, but there's one card left, and it is a banger. Stay tuned. Oh, speaking of bangers, the Van Gogh Pikachu. The card that borderline started a riot in a French museum. Card I picked up from a nice guy locally named Patrick. It was still sealed in its plastic wrap. I looked at it. I said, it's between 9 and a 10. Let's give it a shot. Let's see. Can the Van Gogh Pikachu get a 10 for the buds? PSA 9 on the Van Gogh Pikachu. I knew going into it, again, it was a coin flip, 9 or 10. There's a little bit of a miscut in the upper left corner. Looks like that costed it into a 9. Again, beautiful card. I'm a huge sucker for artistic cards like that. And if it was a 10, I might have actually considered keeping it for the PC, but it is what it is. Moving on. Charmander from Japanese Pokemon 151. PSA 10 on the Charmander. The stack for the 10s is just growing. It's growing at this point. Following that up, we have the Zeraora V-Star. One of my favorite Zeraora arts is this card right here. Comes back as a PSA 10 on the Zeraora. Train is still going here, and it's not stopping for us at the 10s. Following that up, we have the Pincer. I believe this is from Twilight Masquerade. My favorite Pincer card. Can we get a 10 and keep the streak alive? And just like that, streak is broken, unfortunately. PSA 9 on the Pincer from Twilight Masquerade. Another incredible card. Unfortunately, again, didn't come back as a 10 for us this time. It happens. And it is what it is. Our stack of 10s are growing so much. I gotta move them back a little bit here. All right. Moving on. Looks like we have about 6 cards left until we start getting to our real big bangers. We have the Scizor. I believe this is from Obsidian Flame. Card AJ pulled himself. PSA 9 on the Scizor. That's a card that actually I didn't even know was in existence until AJ pulled it. I was in disbelief about how cool the card was and how I've never seen it before, especially on a PSA 10. I'm guessing they're pretty low pop. I'm not sure. I can't confirm that, but you know, us getting back a 9 on that one, it happens again, you know, but would have been interesting to get a low pop card in a 10. All right, following that up, we have the Graveler Master Ball from Pokemon 151, a PSA 8 on that one. Very rare, I feel, do you find Japanese cards especially get into PSA 8. Raider must have seen something. Buds will take that one on the chin and move along. Following that up, we have the Bulbasaur from Pokemon 151 Japanese version. Coming back, PSA 10, rekindling the streak for us. As we have another Japanese card coming over here. We have the Charizard V-Star from V-Star Universe. The card that matches the Mewtwo V-Star from, in English I know Crown Zenith. I'm not sure about in the Japanese set, but what can we get? PSA 10 on the Charizard V-Star from V-Star Universe, a card that I pulled myself. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Following that up, we have an Ogerpon. Teal Mask Ogerpon EX. Again, another card that I likely made sense to get graded at the time, but not really worth it anymore. We got a PSA 9 on the Teal Mask Ogerpon. It happens. We continue to move on. Following that up, we have a Japanese Bulbasaur from Pokemon 151. PSA 10. Our Japanese cards are just hitting for us today. Following that up, we have another Japanese card. Japanese Mewtwo from Pokemon 151. Comes back as a PSA 10. Woo! All right. We're down to 2 more cards before we start getting to the real nitty-gritty, the absolute bangers with some heat. We have some protective goggles, Master Ball, Pokemon 151, Japanese, PSA 10. 2 huge stacks of slabs here. We got 1 more left. What is going to close us out here today? Oh boy, that is right. It is the Pikachu VMAX, the hit card from Vivid Voltage. As I like to call it, Le Chonquechu. Le Chonquechu. Little French accent on that one. Another card I picked up from my buddy Brian locally. Another card that Brian told me he guaranteed was going to be a PSA 10. Can Brian go 2 for 2? Yes, he can. PSA 10 on Zechonkichu, the Pikachu VMAX from Vivid Voltage. And with that comes the real heat in this pile right here. Now, you probably see that there are some cards here that are not in cases, and the reason why is because they didn't get a good enough grade on it. I figured it'd be best to just go ahead and crack them out of it, so they will not be in a slab. But the first card, we have the Giratina V, the hit card, the biggest chase from Lost Origin. Got that in a PSA 8, unfortunately. Really interesting story on this card. I picked it up from a buddy of mine, Peter. Anyone who's been following us on social media on Instagram and has seen our Moonbreon pickup that we had listed there, as well as some other Evolutions set cards in general that were graded. He was looking to move out of Pokemon. He started collecting with his daughter when she was younger, and she kind of just grew out of it. So he wanted to get more into sports cards. Ended up meeting him during the selling of his Evolutions cards, and he told me, he's like, hey man, I have this Giratina. I picked it up. and from a vendor. The vendor thought it could be anywhere between a 9 to 10. If you want to give it a shot, go for it. And I said, you know what? I'll give it a shot. We'll see what it gets back, and I'll let you know. I did it solely because of, my promise to Peter. I told him that I would get it graded and see what it came back as. Even though I didn't think it was a 10, I thought it could be an 8 or a 9 personally. Did coming back as an 8. It ends up happening. But I think that's the cool thing about trading cards, is that there's always a story to tell with how you acquire these cards and where they come from. And, that's a special one because, Peter is someone that, I met, randomly just looking to sell his collection, and ended up, meeting a pretty cool person. And nothing feels better than meeting cool people in a hobby that you are passionate about, really. And that is why the Pokemon community and the trading card community in general is so special. But following that up, we have the Lugia from Silver Tempest, the hit card from Silver Tempest. PSA 8 on the Lugia. This was the last card I ended up getting from that San Diego lot. Unfortunately, didn't come back as a 10. Again, when I picked it up, I knew it was in between an 8, 9, or 10. Thought I'd give it a shot. Ended up giving it a shot. Didn't land this time. It is what it is. But now we are getting to the real heat. You might have seen there's only one card here from Lorcana. Only one card is not a Pokemon card, and it's a Lorcana card. This is the Playful Sorcerer Mickey, the D23 promo. I picked it up from a guy I met named Spencer. Spencer is a pretty big Lorcana content creator on, I believe he streams on TikTok and whatnot. And he just told me, he's like, hey man, I just have too many of these. I think if you grade it, it could probably get back a 10. I just have too many of them, and I don't want to have so many duplicates. So I ended up picking the card off of him, and I said I was going to give it a shot. Can the PSA gods bless us with a monster of a hit with the Playful Sorcerer Mickey? Yes, they can. PSA 10 on the Playful Sorcerer Mickey. This is one of the biggest hits in Lorcana. Glad I was able to get it. And again, shout out to Spencer for passing this along to me. This is, again, you can't beat the community of people that you find in the trading card sphere. He had no reason to not keep the card for himself. It was a gradable PSA 10 card, he thought, and he passed it along. So shout out Spencer. And that brings us to this right here. A card that means so much to AJ and I. A card that really, I think, kind of represents the Buds and, who we are as people. It's another card that we pulled on our Discord pack ripping nights. AJ, it was last bundle of a 151 lot that we purchased just to have fun ripping it, and it was the last pack in the last bundle. We ripped, I think, 3 bundles before this, and we said, if we hit the Charizard, we're not done ripping for the rest of the night. We're going to keep on ripping through whatever we have, and I promise you we did. Our reaction to this was incredible. I wish I could put that into better words to pass along to all you guys, but the time has come. It's a card that I said we're going to give a shot on it. It was a coin flip whether or not it was a 9 or 10. Let's find out. Charizard EX from Pokemon 151, PSA 10. What a banger of a card. Absolute heat. For those of you who have been following along on our stream, AJ has alluded to this card, if not outright spoken about it, on several occasions. So a little bit of a spoiler for those of you who have been following us in the TikTok lives. But regardless, it's still an absolute monster of a hit. All right, so that concludes the Buds' first ever PSA submission, but we can't leave today without giving some special shout outs. First and foremost, shout out to Lucky Vault. They're a trading card store in Los Angeles, California. They're the ones we go to for all of our middleman services when it comes to PSA submissions. You hear everyone nowadays talking about how great GameStop is, how great their pricing is for, I think, $16 a card. Well, let me just tell you that for the low price of $17 a card, so long as you're doing a bulk submission of 20 cards or more, you can have the reassurance of knowing that your cards are going to be taken care of the entire way. The incredible staff over at Lucky Vault, Joe, Leo, and Mario, they were the ones who were responsible for assisting us with this whole process. And not only Do you have that reassurance in your mind when you submit your cards that they are going to be taken care of throughout the entire process? No chance to get lost. And if you know, God forbid something happens, Lucky Vault will take care of it for you. But secondly, they actually go through the process of pre-scanning all your cards with you. So if you're unsure about a card, think it's in between an 8, 9, and 10, not sure what the grade is it might get back, they have staff there with years of expertise in getting cards graded who will look over everything for you and ensure that they give you an honest opinion as to whether or not it's a gradable card or not. Now, of course, with all grading, it's completely, it's subjective to the individual. So just because they say they think it's a 9 or a 10 doesn't mean it's automatically guaranteed to be a 9 or 10, but it does give you that peace of mind that no card that isn't potentially 10 is being left behind in your binder somewhere. So anyways, special shout out to Lucky Vault, and again, special shout out most importantly to our incredible community. I can't say thank you enough on behalf of myself, Dom, and AJ for your guys' continued support throughout this adventure that we've been going through. Just the constant support in our streams, on our TikTok, and on our YouTube channel. It motivates us every day to keep on going. And that's the thing that's so special to us, is that the trading card hobby as a whole is something that has many different avenues, and everyone has a specialization that they like to do. People can limit what they participate in when it comes to TCG. So you see Dom handling a lot of One Piece content because he loves doing One Piece. You see AJ handling a lot of Pokemon content, handling live streams and short form content because that's what he loves to do. Meanwhile, for me, this right here, this experience, buying and selling cards, this is what really means the most to me, brings me the most amount of enjoyment. Not necessarily the acquisition part of cards. I do it for a hobby. It's meeting incredible people in the community like Peter, like Brian, like Patrick, and having a story to tell. Making these interactions with people, that's what makes this so unique and special. Anyways, guys, again, thank you so much. Please go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe on this video, and I'll catch you on the next one.